Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the yoga class. Maybe you can close your eyes for a moment just to have a better connection to your breathing, to your body. And take a couple of exhales, cleansing, allowing yourself to settle in a cross-leg position. Maybe you feel you need to adjust your legs, your hips a little bit better, so you will be able to maintain your straight spine. And from this moment, let's admit the beginning of the practice. You can keep your eyes gently closed as we're going to start warming up the spine. And we'll start with the neck movement. So press the chin down and move the chin to one shoulder. And then again, going back to the center, move the chin to the other one. So maybe go 2-3 times this way. And as you go to the shoulder, you're welcome to change the position of the head. So your face could be just parallel with the plane in front of you, or you can have your eyes toward the floor. And notice how that will change the sensation of stretch along the neck. And with the next one, allow yourself to go for the full circle, but as you drop your head back, make sure that it's not something that's uncomfortable and intense. And as you complete the circle, just change the direction. And we'll do it 3 times. So 3 times full circle for one direction and the other direction. Allow yourself to connect the movement with the breathing, with inhale. Start that. Then exhale when the head is in extension. And then return with the next inhale, exhale back to the center. Last time, maybe going to the both direction, and then just lift your chin parallel to the floor. Let's hold the knees with the hands and let's round the spine, pulling the belly in, pressing the chin down. And in this position, also allow yourself to move the head slightly from side to side. And then come back into the straight spine position. Bring the hands behind the hips. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Lift the chest up. Open the chest. Feel a little bit of extension in the spine. Let's do it 2 more times. Bring the hands against the knees and just roll back. Bring the chin down, round the spine. And then come back into the straight position using your hands to press the floor away and lift the chin, squeeze the shoulder blades. And one more time. Just round the spine. And then come back and stretch. And then find yourself as straight as possible. If you're finding, let's change the position of the legs, because it might be not so comfortable to sit with a cross-leg position. And you might be using the block for this one. So have a block on the right, and we're going to just move, you can have a hand on the floor, but if you're finding that it's more comfortable for you to have a hand a little bit lifted on the block, just to move it as far as it feels comfortable. Drop the head toward the ear, and then let's take the left arm up and maybe a little bit above the head. If this is too much for your shoulder, just keep the arm where it is. Just open the left side of the body. And then release and press yourself up, tall spine. And then maybe using the block, maybe not. Go into the opposite. Just open first the rib cage, and then find that your right arm come up, maybe a bit above the head if this is working for you. And then come back to the center. So again, adjust your sitting position so you sit tall. Interlace the hands and Have your thumbs pressed toward the sternum and keep your forearms parallel to the floor, so that will be your reference. Let's twist to the right and let's pulse it here. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come back to the center. Let's go to the other side and press. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Return back to the center. From here, let's take the arms wide. That will be a little bit more challenging because if you have a tightness in your hips, you're going to be rounded in your lower back. So keep yourself as tall as possible and then twist to the right. And here, use your arms a little bit to rotate the torso. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to the center, sit tall, and then go to the left. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Return back to the center and release. Let's first come into the very passive fold forward. Again, you might move your head from side to side a little bit. Feel a bit of a stretch, and then from here sit tall. Maybe even I would invite you to have a block, having the hands on the block, and think of pulling yourself forward so your chest is open. And then from here, move the block a little bit more forward, but you're hinging from the hips. So you're trying to avoid the rounding, and then move it a little bit more forward. And maybe a little bit more forward. But when you're finding that moving forward will force you to round your spine, so that's where you need to stop. And even feel like you're using a little bit of your biceps to pull the chest forward. And here maybe think of flexing the feet even more, flexing them actively so you feel the stretch on the back of your hamstrings. So hold here. Release the fold, maybe for 1 inch, so have a block or your hand a little bit closer. And let's take the right arm up, so twist into this fold forward, and then press your right arm back, so feel a bit more of a chest opening. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the right arm down on the block or on the floor. Keep your spine straight, and let's lift the left arm up and twist and pulse the arm back. So feeling more of a stretch in the front of the chest. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. So let us bench the knees, and let's add a little bit of a hip warm up here to go for 90-90. So getting your right knee down to the floor, your right thigh will become parallel to the left shin, and then just lift the knees up and move to the opposite. So if you are seated, if you started somewhere on the back of your mat, as you're going to go from side to side, you're going to be moving forward a bit. And every time you're just adjusting your front heel with the front knee, so it's parallel, going all the way from one position of the knees on the floor to another position of the knees of the floor. So lubricate a little bit the hip joints before we're going to go to the bigger movements. And maybe the last time we'll come to the left and to the right, and from here let's cross the ankles and move the body into the child pose with the wide knees. And in this child pose, I want you to pay attention to your lower back release. So maybe you shake from side to side, moving the fingers forward, bringing the forehead down to the floor, having the space between the shoulder blades, and hold here for another exhale, and then look forward and come into the tabletop position. So we moved up the neck, we moved our thoracic spine, but in a seated position, we almost didn't have any chance to warm up the lower back. So here is the pelvic tilt that we will perform. So I would invite you to do it in isolation. That means you're not moving your head. You're almost not moving in the mid back, but you're just lifting the tailbone and tucking the tailbone under. So a bit of a pelvic tilt, isolated movement for the lower back. And notice how you're inviting your abdomen muscles assist you to do that. Maybe another one for 2 direction. And then the next one you will go to the full dog stretch. So lifting the chin up and holding here, squeezing the shoulder blades and at the same time pressing the floor away. And then very slowly roll into the cat stretch. We're going to hold that as well, just scanning the spine and noting maybe the spots of tightness. And then very slowly again the back into the dog stretch. And from here I'm inviting you to go on your own pace from one position to another position. So here the breath will be your guide to go. Let's have another one. And then let's come to neutral position. We'll step the hands a little bit forward, making sure that the index finger looks straight forward, the knuckle of the index finger and the thumb press to the floor. And then we'll tug the toes and come to the first downward dog. So in the first downward dog, welcome to bend your knees as much as you need. Walk your heels. Try to elongate through the spine. Shake your head again. Use it as the spinal traction here. Take another exhale and then drop the knees down to the floor. Let's step the right foot forward, and I would invite you to have your 2 blocks on the side of your right foot. So let us adjust the back knee to be where it feels comfortable for the knee and for the left hip. And we're going to be going into pulses to press the hips forward, to open the left thigh and open the left hip flexor, and then move the hips back, flexing the foot and stretching the right hamstring. And then again, coming forward, stretching the left leg, left hip flexor, and moving back, flexing the right foot. Try to keep the chest open. One more time, come to the front. Opening the hip and then moving to the back. And this time, as we are with the hips back, I would invite you to take your toes slightly in and slightly out. Just notice how a little bit different. So just on the heel, you move the toe inward, you move the toe out. So from the hip, internal and external rotation of the foot, feeling just a little bit different tissues of the hamstrings are warming up and stretching. And then we will move forward again into the lunge to release the blocks, and from here we'll tuck the toes and come into the downward dog. And again, welcome to walk your dog if needed. Otherwise, you hold in your high hips with a neutral spine position. Always think of your happy dog, keeping the tail up. Another exhale, and then let's drop the knees down to the floor. Stepping the left foot forward. Take your time to find where the back knee is comfortable here. And then we'll go to the same sequence by pressing the hips forward to stretch the right quadricep and hip flexor, and then move the hips back and flex the left foot. And then move forward, opening the hip, and move back, flexing. Okay? And again, move forward. And then move back. Okay, and one more time. Let's have one more time. Coming forward and coming back. And as we're holding back, we will again just to move the toe in and toe out. So internal and external rotation of the left hip, and we're keeping the leg aligned. If you practice the last class, we talked about this alignment and connection between ankle and hip movements through the knee joint. That is just a hinge, and let us come forward and release the blocks, tuck the toes, and step into the downward dog. And in this downward dog, just try to keep legs in a not so bent position. They could be soft. We warmed up the hamstring, so you might feel much better. We also warmed up the ankles, so your ankles might cooperate better in your downward dog right now. And then on next inhale, look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Set your feet hip distance with the second toe straight forward. Just hang here for the moment. And then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, let's come up into standing position. So just a moment in standing position, because we were in the head down. Allow the blood circulation to return back to normal. Keep your chest open. We're going to go through a couple of full sun salutations. With inhale, lift the arms up, hinging from the hips into full fold. Passive one, relax head. Then bring the hands to the shins, lift the chest halfway, and then touch the floor and step the left foot back. In a lunge, bring the hands on the hips, lift the torso up. When you're stable, you're going to take your arms up into the warrior one. Keeping shoulders relaxed, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and drop the knees. Bring the right knee together, so in your tabletop position, and from here, let's come to the plank. So hold this plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees, come all the way down, exhale. Having the hands on the sides of the rib cage, strong legs, lift the torso up into baby cobra, neck is in neutral position. And then press the floor, tug the toes, and find yourself in a downward dog. Exhale, long spine. Let's have here 2 more exhalation. Every time in downward dog, think of the spinal traction, and then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway, and then strong legs from the hips, unfold straight spine into a mountain pose. Exhale, arms to the sides of the hips. Let's go other side. Inhale. Hinging from the hips all the way into the passive fold. Make sure you're releasing the head, allowing the traction of the neck as well. Hands on the shins. Lift the chest halfway. Then touch the floor and step the right foot back. Keep your front knee coming forward. Lift the torso up. When you're stable, take your arms up into warrior one, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor, drop the right knee down, bring the left knee together, make sure shoulders above the palms, tuck the toes, lift the knees, squeeze the glutes, push the floor, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees, come all the way down, exhale. Have the hands on the sides of the rib cage, roll the shoulders back, pointed toes, strong legs, lift the chest off the floor, neck neutral. Then press, tug the toes, find yourself into downward dog, holding this downward dog for 3 breaths. And next inhale, look forward, step or walk to the front of the mat. Hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. Make sure that you're lifting yourself into standing position with a strong legs, with a neutral position. Arms overhead, inhale, exhale, arms to the sides of the hips. Taking the breath, let's add some variation to this flow. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, folding forward all the way into the passive. Hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. Use your blocks, have them on the both sides of your feet. Step your left foot back. So set yourself here with the hands on the blocks and adjust them to be on a high level. Have just the tip of the fingers on the block, so you feel that the back leg is holding you. Then have just the left hand on the block. Bring the right hand on the thigh and twist to the right. You can have the palm flat if you feel more stable, and if you like, you can take your right arm up or have a right arm on your lower back. Continue to use the back leg as support here. Holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the right hand on the block, and this time drop the left heel down. So your left foot is like in a warrior 2 position. Bring the right hand to the block in front of the right foot. Open yourself to the left side. Rotate the shoulder up and take your left arm up into extended triangle, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the left hand down, so both hands are returning on the block. That's going to give you a little bit of support. You lift your back heel off the floor again. Now, finding that the back leg's supporting you, start lifting the torso off the thigh and take your arms on the both sides of the head, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move the blocks outside of the mat and trying to step into plank, just sliding the leg back. Holding plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down. Exhale, come all the way to the floor. Inhaling into your cobra, making sure that it feels like you pull yourself forward. And then floating into the downward dog. Exhale. Long spine, holding this downward dog for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look forward, walk to the front of the mat. Bring your hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. And let unfold using your legs, like you push your torso up. Exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. Let us do this flow on the other side. Inhale. Exhale, folding forward, all the way passive. And then the lifted chest. Find your blocks, again coming on the sides of your feet in a high level. Step your right foot back. Take your time to adjust the stance so you feel stable and the back leg supporting you. Bring the right hand on the right block, but don't collapse to your right shoulder. You can have your left hand on your lower back, rotate to the left. You can take your left arm up. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring both hands down to the floor and now drop the right heel. So your legs are in the warrior 2 position. Bring your left hand to the block in front of the left knee. Rotate your right hip and right shoulder up. Take your right arm up. Hold this extended triangle. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the right hand down to the floor. Lift your back heel. Use your block here to help you to find stability. And then start lifting the torso from the thigh. Taking the arms on both sides of the head. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now move the block outside of the mat. Step your left foot back into plank. Hold the plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down. Exhale, come all the way to the floor. Reset the hands on the sides of the rib cage, roll the shoulders back, point your toes, lift the chest up, holding. And then tucking the toes and pressing the hips up and back into the downward dog. Long spine. Holding for 5 breaths. That's 2. 3. 4. And 5. Look forward, walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway, and then from the hips unfold all the way up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. Okay, let us next practice triangle pose, and we're going to be using the block for that. We'll turn the right foot out and left foot in. You can have heel to heel alignment or arch to heel alignment for the back leg, whatever working better for you. Bring the hands on the hips and allow the left hip to come slightly forward. Now find your hip crease with the right hand and just fold forward, having long right side of the body. And then from here, extend your right arm till you touch in the block with the tip of the fingers. Sometimes we need to adjust the stance to go a little bit wider, as we don't want to stand with a rounded spine, right? So we want to have a spine tall here. And then you can have your left hand on your lower back, or you're welcome to take your left arm up. So in the triangle, I want you to focus on taking the left hip toward the back of the mat and your right shoulder toward the front of the mat. So like an opposite direction, lengthening through the spine and keeping the chest open. Let's bring the left hand to your lower back if it's not there, and using your legs and core muscles, unfold up. So having the block, go into the other side. So bring the block in, turn the right foot in. So allow the right hip to turn in. Now find your hip crease with the left fingers and fold forward. So have a moment here, maybe adjusting against the stance if you need, and then let your left arm just reach the block just with the tip of the fingers. Use the right hand to ground yourself through the pelvis. Open the gaze up toward the ceiling, maybe taking the right arm up. And again, let us focus on taking the right hip toward the back, taking the left shoulder toward the front, trying to stretch the spine and both sides of the torso. So remember how many triangles we have here, and count how many you can admit are perfect triangles. Releasing the right hand down to the floor and lift yourself up. So let us have the same stance, but rotate completely toward the front of the mat. Allow yourself to turn the left hip so your hips stays forward, left foot just slightly angled out. For this one, we will use 2 blocks and use them as your support and as your reference, as you want to get your both hips facing the front of the mat. Have just the tip of the fingers on the block and continue to work with alignment of your pelvis. So if we're going to put the glass of water on the pelvis, it should stay here. So avoid rotating. If you cannot reach the blocks with alignment of the pelvis, lift your hands a little bit higher, maybe on the knee. Have your back knee straight and front knee soft, not locked. And then from here, when you grounded here, let's take both arms on the both sides of the head, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let us lift and maybe shake the legs here. So building the other side, stepping the left foot forward. Find what is the appropriate hip rotation forward. Bringing the blocks on the both sides of the left foot. Take your time to work on the hip alignment. It feels like you pulling the left leg into the left hip and dropping the right hip, lengthening here. Okay, so if it's too low for the blocks, you can have your hands higher. And when you're ready, let's take the arms on both sides of the head. Continue to ground yourself through the heels. Stretch your hamstrings while you're reaching forward for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hands on the block and let's lift. Okay, so we'll come into the wide-legged position with the toes slightly turned in. You can use one block, you might not need it. And we're gonna come into the fold. And let us, I would suggest we'll all use the blocks to start with. So maybe in a medium height, as I would invite you to make sure that this fold is not happening with your rounded back. So you would like to keep your chest above the block. I'm gonna be with the side so you see that I don't push my hips back, I'm actually coming forward. So it's like triangle, my two heels and my hands on the block here. That's a support. And I have my spine tall. Some of you might be needed to go in a higher level here. And then from here, have just the left hand on the block and take your right arm up into twist. And as you're twisting, make sure there's no rotation, no flexion in your upper back. If you're finding that you're so tight and you can't lift your arm, I would suggest you have your right hand on your lower back and work on lengthening through the spine and rotating the shoulder. So maybe the arm is too much for you. Then release and let's go to the other side. So first, just make sure you're lengthening through the spine, and then hand could be on the lower back or arm could go up. Twist to the left. Lengthening again. It feels like hips goes toward the back, head goes to the front. And release. And from here we will just fold forward passively. See if you maybe moving your feet a little bit wider. You can have your knees soft, just a bit softer, and just fold forward. Maybe you use the block to support the forehead. Maybe you can reach all the way down toward the floor with the head. So hold it here, and then let's lift the chest for a moment. And then we're going to go one more time. You can take a look first on my position. We're going to be interlacing the hands behind, and we're going to just drop the arms as far as it's possible behind the back. And make sure you grounded yourself, staying on the heels. Maybe knees a bit soft. Try to keep your elbows as straight as it's possible. And release. So if you adjust it to go a little bit wider, let's go toes, heels. And very slowly, let's come up into standing position. Again, as we're going to be, we were with the head down for a bit. So let us just have a moment here, standing tall. Letting the blood circulation to return back to normal. And from here we'll come to a couple of balance pose. Let's start today with a tree. Bringing the body weight to the left, and you can slide your right foot on ankle or a calf or a thigh, and bring the hands in front of the chest. So keep working with the left glute here to stabilize your standing leg. And if you like, you can take your arms wide, turning the palms up toward the ceiling, holding. And release. stepping a couple of times from side to side. Bring the body weight to the right foot. Find where your left foot will land. Ankle, calf or thigh. Squeeze the right glute. Bring the hands in front for the start. And then if you like, you can let your tree to grow to the sides, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's release. So we'll continue because today we got all the preparation for the side moon pose. So we're going to be using the block, and let's turn the right foot toward the block, having this inch or, foot and a half. And then from here, you start bringing the body weight to the right leg, having just the tip of the toe touching with the left, and fall till you reach the block with your right hand. You can have a gaze down to the floor, lift your left leg, flex the left foot, and open the left hip to the left edge of the mat. You can have a left hand on your hip or take the left arm up. So make sure you're not collapsing to the right hand. You're using your right leg and core centered here. Flex the foot. Use the left leg to engage the left glute here to have more stability. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release gracefully. Okay, shake your legs and let us build on the other side. So have your block and your left foot maybe foot and a half away. Start bringing the body weight to the left leg. Have a right foot just touching with the toe and lean to the block. Lift the right leg, flex, toe is pointed to the right, open the right hip, and you can have a hand on the hip or take the right arm up. Holding. Keeping shoulders relaxed, don't be tense in your face, don't hold your breath. Feel how the body weight situated above the left heel. Your left hamstring is working hard. Your right glute is assisting to stabilize your core. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Excellent. So this is one of the advanced poses. So if you're able to hold that for 5 breaths, you're in a good shape. So shake your legs and arms. Let's come to the front of the mat for another flow to come to the floor. So maybe after the half moon pose, you need to catch your breath. Exhale, relax the shoulders, maybe you tense them. And then we'll go. Inhale, arms up. Hinging from the hips. Exhale, folding forward. Hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. Touch the floor and step the left foot back into lunge. Inhale the arms up. This time, let's interlace the hands behind the head. Just open the chest forward a little bit. Gaze goes just a bit up toward the ceiling, elbows wide. Use the back leg for support. This is a bit of a back bend here. On exhale, bring the hands on the floor and step into plank. Continue with the flow, dropping the knees and coming down. Hands on the floor. Lift the chest. Maybe baby cobra, maybe even upward dog if you have in your practice. Tucking the toes, exhaling into the downward dog. Taking another exhale here. Stepping the right foot closer to the midline. Stepping the left foot forward into lunge. Lifting torso up. Using the back leg for support. Lifting the arms up and interlacing the hands behind the head. Opening the chest. Holding here. On exhale, bring the hands to the floor, stepping into plank. Continue with the flow, dropping the knees, coming down. Hands on the side of the rib cage. Lift yourself, cobra or upward dog, and then come into the child pose. Rounding the spine, bring the forehead down to the floor, taking the arms on the sides of the hips. Exhale. And then lift the chest up and find yourself into seated position, having the block close to you. And we didn't practice the boat pose for a while, so let's see how that goes. So get yourself leaning back and just hold your knees to start with, and then lift your toes. So that's for the first one. Just keep them lifted and pull yourself forward a bit, so making sure that your spine is straight, and then release your arms. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rest, bring the soles of the feet together. Just fold, stretch your lower back. Next time we'll try to lift the legs. So we'll lean back, but at the same time pulling yourself forward. Then lift your legs. The first is the shins parallel to the floor, or you can go right away into straight legs. Arms up, holding for 5. Pull yourself forward. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's release and fold forward. Relax. And of course, we would like to add to that Russian twist. So we're going to have a block. If you have a dumbbell close to you and you would like to challenge yourself, you can pick up dumbbell. Otherwise, we'll just use the block for the movement. We're going to lift the toes just a bit. So it's your boat pose, and we're going to move the block to the left, come to the center. To the right, come to the center. 1, left, center. Right, center. 2, left, center. Right, center. 3, left, center. Right, center. 4, make sure your knees are not moving, your toes are not moving. Center. Right, center. Smile. And release. Okay, great. So having the blocks to the side, we will come all the way, lying on the floor. You might feel your lower back tense a little bit, so bring your knees to the chest. Massage them from side to side, rocking. And then bring the feet down to the floor. Next one, we'll have a couple of bridges here. We'll start with a regular classical bridge with the feet hip distance, arms on the sides. And when you're ready, just lifting your hips as high as you can. Maybe squeezing the shoulder blades together, pressing the forearms down. Make sure you're not pressing the chin to the chest, having a little bit of a space in the front of the neck, and using your glutes and hamstring to lift your hips up. And very slowly release. We'll have 2 more with some variation for the arms if you like. So when you're ready, lift your hips up, and next time you might interlace the hands under the hips. You might feel like you want to bring the heels a little bit closer, squeezing the shoulder blades, lifting the hips up. Make sure your knees are not collapsing to the sides. The knees are going straight away from your face, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Exhale. Next one, you can go to the same interlaced hands, or you can try to bring your heels a little bit closer so you can touch your heels with the fingers, and maybe like catching your ankles, right, with your feet, or maybe just hugging with the 2 fingers from the back, and lift again. So holding your heels somehow, ankle somehow, or just having interlaced fingers under the body. So you feel a little bit more stretch in the quads now, probably holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the hips down to the floor. Let's extend the left leg and interlace the hands on the top of the right knee. Avoid to press into the rib cage. Go slightly out and then back, pulling the knee toward the right shoulder, but keeping the left shoulder and the left hip grounded. You can flex the left foot and have it point, whatever you feel more appropriate for your position. So squeeze in all internal organs on the right side. So compression is one of the movements we practice in yoga. With compression, we're restricting blood circulation. On release, the blood circulation will return to normal, and that's how it works for internal organs. Let's release the right leg, and we'll go with the left. So interlace the hands on the top of the left knee. Avoid the rib cage slightly to the side, and then press toward the left shoulder. Make sure your right shoulder is not coming off the floor. Keep the back of the body grounded. Long neck, compress. So use all the strength of your arms to compress the thigh into the left side of the torso. And let's release. Let's bend both knees. Get yourself comfortable here. Using the strength of your legs, push the thighs into the chest. I'm going to take the arms overhead on the floor. So that will force you to feel a bit of extension in thoracic spine. So try to think of lengthening through the spine, so having your tailbone down, maintaining neutral spine here, right? So you don't want to lift your tailbone off the floor. So release the legs the way that you have a neutral spine, and get your arms overhead. So just feel the stretch in the area of thoracic spine here. And then let's release the left foot down to the floor and extend the right leg up. Flex the right foot, interlace the hands behind the right thigh, and just gently pull the left toward the face. You might secure the knee with the right hand and just holding the thigh with the left. If that feels right for you, flex the foot. Keep shoulders and hips grounded. So again, you are practicing this hamstring stretch with the neutral spine. Focus on exhalation. And let's bend the right knee, bring the left ankle on the top of the left thigh, opening the hips. And then if you like, you can lift the left foot off the floor, straight leg or bent left knee. Interlace the hands if you can reach, and hold. Focusing on exhale again, and on exhale, think of opening the thigh out, taking the knee away from the chest. Bringing the left foot down to the floor, having the right ankle where it is, taking the arms in T position and dropping the right foot toward the floor on the left side. So your right heel will be under the left knee, feeling more stretch around the right thigh, bringing your gaze to the right shoulder. And just relax here. So we're going to be holding that a little bit longer. You feel some work around the right hip glute. You might feel intense twist. So finding the right ground for your body, the right intensity here. as we're holding. Another 5 breaths here. Then release the right leg from under the left knee and very slowly return back to the midline of the mat. Adjust your hips and shoulders. And let us lift the left leg, interlace the hands behind the left thigh, flex the left foot. Shoulders relax. Using a little bit of the arm strength to pull the leg toward the chest. Let's bend the left knee, bring the left ankle on the top of the right knee. And then when you're ready, you can lift the right foot, taking the right leg up, interlace the hands behind the right thigh. Try to think of the left shin to be parallel to the chest, parallel to the floor as much as it's possible, as much as your hip allows you. And then let's release and bring the right foot back to the floor, taking arms in T position, and then dropping the left leg toward the floor on the right side. Maybe turning the head to the left. Maybe using the right hand to direct the right knee toward the floor. But here, be very careful. This is quite advanced because the right heel is under the knees, a little bit of a locked position. So you just need to be careful with the intensity of this twist. Not overdoing this. Working with exhalation. Having here 5 more exhales. And releasing the right leg, returning back to the center, adjusting the hips. And let us extend the legs, let us extend the arms, and we'll practice Bananasana to stretch the sides of the body. So moving the heels to the left, crossing the right ankle on the top of the left one, moving head and shoulders to the left, maybe holding the right wrist if this is okay. If your right shoulder is very tight, just adjust the right arm, even having this along the body if needed. And let us direct the exhalation to the whole right side of the body. Feel it from the hip, rib cage, shoulder, arm. Addressing a bit of our sides of the body. We had today the strength of the obliques and a couple of asanas and exercises. So here is a nice stretch, nice release. You definitely would be feeling taller after the side stretches. And then returning back to the center, realign yourself on the midline. Move the heels to the right, cross the left ankle if that's working for you. Move the head and shoulders to the right. Hold your left wrist Be grounded through the left shoulder and breathe on the left side of the body. Taking another exhale, returning back to the center. Bending the knees, readjusting pelvis, shoulders, back of the head, and then lifting legs up, lifting the arms up, and shaking them. Shake to feel how the calves are jiggling, how the hamstrings, quads, your triceps and biceps, all the joints is really getting some shake. And that's 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop the legs down to the floor. If you would like to have your knees bent, you can use the blocks, or if you own the bolster under the bent knees, take your arms a little bit away from the hips. Adjust the pelvis position to feel comfortable. And let's together take 3 loud exhales. So just take an inhale through the nostrils and exhale through the open mouth. Letting the whole back of your body be released. Let's take again. Inhale and exhale. Letting the whole front of the body to be relaxed. And the last one, inhale and exhale. And relax all facial muscles. Practice your Shavasana. Just the pose that will complete your practice, and before you're going to go back to your daily activities, you want to practice stillness. Stillness and observation. Allowing yourself consciously to do nothing. Especially in the morning, it might be more challenging than the practice in the evening. Notice if your mind is wandering and already taking you away from the mat. Bring it back. Try to focus on the body resting. Then let's add the movements back in toes and fingers, circles the wrists and ankles. Allow the knees to be bent. Maybe bring knees to the chest and drop from side to side. Circling knees one direction and the other direction, and then just allow yourself to roll to one side. And with the help of the arm, bring yourself into seated position. Come into cross-leg position. Bring the hands in front of the heart. Take a moment to admit the end of the practice. Note the sensations in the body and the mindset. Hopefully you feel yourself more energized and ready to continue with your day. Namaste.